You're watching Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco on Rider Nation Station. Brought to you through the help of these following fine sponsors: Buffalo Wild Wings, Miller's Funeral Home, Eagles Lodge 767, Rabel's Auto Service, Plus One Professionals, All Glaze Equipment Rental, Midway Trailers, American Legion Post 323, Albert Sporting Goods, Family Ideology, Speckman Automotive, Kogi Plumbing and Heating, Spees Chiropractic, Varsity Lanes, Minster Bank, VFW Post 9289, Guineri Pizzeria, and Fowler's TV.
Hello and welcome everyone to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. Each and every week, Rider Nation Station brings you local official and Rough Rider alumni Mark Cisco to talk about some clips from the previous games that week, and also to discuss just in general officiating and high school officiating in Ohio. Mark, thanks for joining me.
Zach, it's always a pleasure to be here.
Mark, we're going to talk before we go over some clips from the big St. Mary's Salina victory this week. We had somebody that sent in a question. They were watching a college game,
Okay.
and the player in the college game was grabbed by the back of his jersey.
All right.
And as they described it, he was completely stopped for 2 or 3 seconds trying to run forward, kind of like a cartoon or something. And he wasn't moving at all. But the officials did not call they did not call the forward progress stopped. They allowed basically him to work his way out of that hold and score a touchdown.
Right.
And I guess that brought up the question as to whether is the forward progress a black and white hard and fast rule, or do you take into the account the sort of subjectiveness of, well, he's just barely being held, so he could still break away?
There is no hard and fast rule. That's what we get paid the so-called big dollars for, for that judgment call. We're going to give the runner most time every opportunity to work himself out of something like that, especially when it's a one-on-one situation. Now, if another player had come in and now we've got two holding him and something like that, then progress is probably going to be stopped. If he's making a little progress, maybe moving forward, feet still moving, things of that nature, they haven't taken the feet away, we're going to give him every opportunity to, which means also the defense has a chance to take the ball away. So there's that fine line of, was he stopped, was he not? You know, at what point, at some point in our mind, we say, okay, we're done. And whatever happens after that really doesn't matter, because we're going to call him down or dead or something like that, right where the play we think it's done. So.
Well, and interestingly enough, I got a clip that we talk a little bit about forward progress here in a couple clips away, so we can maybe revisit some of that for that clip.
Absolutely.
Mark, this week we had just a truly awful officiating crew out there. No, I'm just kidding. It was Mark's crew.
Yes, it was.
And actually, it's a very clean game.
It was a clean game from our perspective anyway. Yes.
Very few penalties.
Right.
When I'm looking through clips, not a lot that I was able to pull up, but we're able to look at some things.
Let's do that.
Anything that this is we get very rarely. This is only the second time you've ever had a Rough Rider game.
Correct.
So anything from your perspective, knowing that we're going to be looking at clips today?
Not really. I mean, the fouls that we had were a false start or an encroachment or something like that. We did have a block in the back that I will tell you that my back judge who threw the flag wasn't happy with it after he was done. I think if he'd have had a little more time and at the point he might have rethought the situation, because he come up to me and he said, I got block in the back and it's kind of weak. I said, what, do you want to wave it off? And he chose not to do that.
Yeah.
For various reasons at that point. I haven't seen it, so I really don't know. Other than that, there might have been possibly maybe a hold here or there that we didn't get or we passed on possibly. So for us, it was smash mouth football both ways, and that's the way the game's meant to be played.
Well, a little spoiler alert, I didn't find the block in the back when I was looking through
clips.
Okay.
Well, then we won't.
Maybe we'll dig that up in the future.
Then maybe I should have kept my mouth shut. So there we go.
All right, we're gonna look at this first clip here. We've looked at this before, but I just thought we'd talk about the line judge or the side judge's hand motions down there at the bottom of the screen for setting up.
Sure. Yeah, that would be the line judge down there. He's probably punching the outside receiver off of the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. They set up, we're in a wing right there, so he's punching him back. That just tells everybody that he is off the line of scrimmage. Basically what we're looking for here is more than 4 guys in the backfield. Okay, so the other guy across the way, he's maybe had a guy on or off or whatever. It just helps them count to make sure we got the right folks
And I think he was holding up 4 fingers. Does that mean that he's counting 4 guys?
He's got 4 guys on his side of the center. So St. Mary's runs an unbalanced a lot, and so on this side we'd probably have one side would have 2 guys on one side of the center, the other side would have 4, and when you've got that plus the center 7, so that could mean that there's only 4 guys in the backfield at that point. So that's what they're doing all night. St. Mary's is running unbalanced one way or the other. Normally towards the home side is where they do that, and a lot of times they ran to that side. So there was a tendency for the riders to do that for whatever reason. And, it's just, we're just telling one another, hey, I've got 4 over here, you've got 2, plus the center, that makes 7, so we're good to go.
And then after the play, we see him point forward. So
First down.
That's
the first down signal this year that they wanted us to use. That's that hand over the head type situation. And that's because the coaches like that. The coaches in the box like to see that because then they can move on right away and get to the next play. And rather than just some discrete signal that it used to be between the referee and the wing guy, it's, he'd point like this or wherever, so I'd signal. But this way, everybody knows what's going on.
So that hasn't been a traditional hand motion.
That's not a traditional authorized federation signal that you'd find in the rule book. That's something that we in Ohio have come up with, basically because the coaches seem to like that sort of thing. And, it just helps the game move a little smoother and keeps the game moving.
Well, we're going to take a quick break as we get our clips back up here. I think we lost them.
Not a problem.
We'll be back right after this.
Okay.
You're watching Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco on Rider Nation Station. Brought to you through the help of these following fine sponsors: Buffalo Wild Wings, Miller's Funeral Home, Eagles Lodge 767, Rabel's Auto Service, Plus One Professionals, All Glaze Equipment Rental, Midway Trailers, American Legion Post 323, Albert Sporting Goods, Family Ideology, Speckman Automotive, Kogi Plumbing and Heating, Spees Chiropractic, Varsity Lanes, Minster Bank, VFW Post 9289, Guarneri Pizzeria, and Fowler's TV.
Well, welcome back to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. I'm Zach Farrell. Mark, I think we got our technical difficulties figured out, so we're going to jump right into the second clip here.
Good deal.
This was a run early on by Aiden Hinkle, and he came through the line, and then he was hit low and did a little flip. And I just thought maybe we could talk about how you mark a ball when somebody flips through the air like that. Because if he lands on his shoulder, is it then where the ball is?
It's where the ball is.
Okay.
Whenever he makes contact, either with a hand or the foot or the ball, for that matter, in theory, wherever that first contact is and wherever the ball is at, that's the point of progress right there. A lot of guys, most guys will get it, some don't, and it takes a little bit of experience to get that forward progress. So yes, and that's tough because if he's not down quite yet, and I've had people roll on top of another player and get on their feet with that peak going, and so that's very possible.
Yeah. We've seen that before, and we always try to point that out when it happens because it's just
it's a good play. It's a good athletic play.
Right. All right. This next play we have. This is the one I was talking about a little bit with forward progress here.
Okay.
So this is going to be a pass at the bottom of your screen. You're going to see the Salina wide receiver bobble the ball and then grab it and then get tackled. And I noticed this during the game. I thought that the side judge gave him all the way up to where he first touched the ball instead of had possession.
Well, let's see. And you could very well be right. And the
it could have just been the angle. He didn't know that he didn't catch it, maybe that he was bobbling it.
So he's right there. He's got maybe a half a yard behind the 35, and he gives him to the 30. Yeah, he probably didn't see the bobble in there. Now, if he had caught it cleanly and then he gets driven back, we're going to give them the forward progress at that point.
Yeah.
We're told to give them the forward progress. If he had broken away, then that first forward progress spot is gone.
Okay.
Then he's on his own.
So that's what I wanted to confirm, that the forward progress isn't when he touches the ball, it's when he actually has possession.
Right, and truthfully, that probably should have been marked a couple yards further towards the 30-yard line, yes.
And I just included the next play just so we could see where it was marked. Because, like I said, I noticed it during the game.
Yeah,
so
okay.
It's marked all the way up on the 34.
Probably could have been another couple yards
right
back towards the Salina end zone. Yep.
Didn't have many calls, so we got to point out some
hey,
little ticky-tacky
you know
things
what?
like
those
that.
are good things because those are the type of things that we look at to try to improve upon.
Great. This next call then, I think you were right in front of it actually, Mark. This was a kick, and the ball came really close to going into the end zone. but it looked like the
Oh, okay, on a kickoff.
kick return.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The kick return
I do remember that.
grabbed it right there, right at the goal line.
He kicks it. Yeah, he caught it just before. Now, if he has possession of it and he had stepped into the end zone a couple steps, fine. It's still a live ball, not a problem there. But the ball didn't quite get there. He grabbed it before it crossed the goal line, so we didn't have a touchback.
If the ball crosses the plane but his feet are still inbounds, does that count as a touchback?
If he has possession, it doesn't matter. All right.
Okay.
So if the ball crosses the plane of the goal line before possession, then we have a touchback.
Okay.
But he clearly had the ball in his hands, and so there was no question he was going to go out with it, and he makes a good return out of it.
This next play we're going to look at was a really close call. Sullivan, I think, gets the punt, and there's Salina guys right in his face right now. I think Salina timed it pretty well, but it was really close. That it could have been catch interference.
Those are one of those things that's not defined in the Federation rule book. In college, they give them a step or 2 steps, or the dreaded halo rule that you hear about. High school has none of that. Could there have been a foul called here for kick catch interference? Possibly, and possibly if there would have been a bobble or something like that, would the flag have come out? Possibly, because then you could have a better case for kick catch interference. There was no contact before the catch. He caught it cleanly. Yes. Was he hit really quickly? Yes. That's right on the edge.
Gotcha.
That's right on the edge, and my back judge chose to pass on whatever might be there, and away we go.
I forgot we've talked about that before, though, that there isn't the halo rule.
There is not.
2-step rule, and that makes it tough for you.
I mean, you
guys.
can't get right up in his helmet like that, because that does hinder the catch. But there was enough distance there and there was no bobble that there's no flag going to come out on
Just
that.
really good timing.
Well, it was good timing on Salina's part, yes.
This next play was one of the flags that were called offsides on the kick.
Oh, to start the game.
I think it was later on.
Was it later on? Okay.
St. Mary's, yeah. I think it was still first half, maybe still first quarter. You can just see a couple of the players.
Yeah, they're a little over anxious right there.
A little far.
Yeah, and we're told that even if you lean over the line, we're told that the kickoff line is a plane. Mm-hmm. So if you're coming and you're running and you're leaning and you've got an arm across, that's a foul. Now, does that always happen? No.
Yeah.
Depending on time, score, things of that nature, we're not going to get that ticky. Definitely if you step across the line, and that's an easy call to make at that point.
And we've seen that before, too. You're given a little bit of a grace, but then there's some real obvious cases that
you have to get. And you never like to do that. I mean, especially the start of a game or a half, because it just breaks up the flow right away. But if it's there, it's there.
Right. This next play was another kick return from St. Mary's, and I told Joe I don't know if I've ever seen a kick like this. It was the next play actually. So the ball was moved backwards, and the kick was really low, and it bounced through the Salina receiver's hands about the 20-yard line, and still went back into the end zone for a touchback. And so that kind of brings up a little bit to what you were talking about earlier. That was my question: is does it matter that he touched it at all? You said he didn't have possession, so
it doesn't.
Not.
It does not matter. We have a saying: a kick is a kick is a kick. So yes, he may have muffed the ball, but there was no possession, so the ball still retains its original, I guess, status as a kick. And again, if a kick crosses or breaks the plane of the goal line, we have a touchback.
I just never seen such a low kick that had that kind of trajectory where it just bounced off the turf and went straight through his hands.
Footballs
right into the end
do
zone.
Odd things when they're on the ground, no doubt.
Especially on the turf,
Yep.
It gets a little bit different. And then this is probably the most controversial play of the game, I think, especially for Salina fans. They thought that the running back had a false start there, where Joe and I were sitting in the box.
Could be.
Yeah.
And that's right in front of me.
The Salina coaches definitely thought so. We could hear him all the way across the press box.
Yeah, it could be, and it's tough to see when the ball is really snapped. And I see a head move. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if it's a bang
really
situation,
close.
sometimes you're going to get that. And,
Yeah.
And if Joe's going to show it one more time, and I'm looking at the head of the center because that's a good indication of. No, probably a false start.
Yeah.
Probably was.
And that was a 4th and short, and that was the game-winning drive.
It was.
But it was so close, though. I didn't think it was. I mean, it was.
And it didn't stand out to me at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but. Okay.
Easier from the side view, maybe, or something. I don't know.
No, I probably should have got that one, but I can't explain why. So I'll take that one.
Well, I hate to end on that one, Mark.
It's okay. It's not a problem.
It's a good set of clips, and I think some good discussion behind them. Just reminding everybody, we're going to have the game this week, St. Mary's first playoff game at home against Buckeye Valley from Delaware. And hopefully we'll have a nice win, and we'll have some more clips next week. And so we'll be back with rules of the game next week. Until then, goodbye, everyone.
You're watching Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco on Rider Nation Station. Brought to you through the help of these following fine sponsors: Buffalo Wild Wings, Miller's Funeral Home, Eagles Lodge 767, Rabel's Auto Service, Plus One Professionals, All Glaze Equipment Rental, Midway Trailers, American Legion Post 323, Albert Sporting Goods, Family Ideology, Speckman Automotive, Kogi Plumbing and Heating, Spees Chiropractic, Varsity Lanes, Minster Bank, VFW Post 9289, Guinary Pizzeria, and Fowler's TV. Thanks for watching another episode of Rider Nation Station. Help us help you by subscribing on YouTube or following us on Facebook.